glad to be here. And I've followed you on Instagram forever. So it's really cool that we get to connect and, kind of chat on a deeper level. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, that's the exciting podcasting, I think, is that we can follow each other. I've been following your journey. I love your story. And I'm like, okay, I need her on my podcast. Let's go. And as a fellow podcaster, you have your own podcast, this Spiritual Badass podcast, which is amazing. You guys need to go check that out. I'll put the link in the show notes. But it's really cool that we get to connect. And I am grateful for you being here.
It is, that's kind of my favorite part. God, I don't know how many weeks. Some weeks I do 7 interviews, master classes, lives, podcasts, interviews, whatever. But it's like you get to meet so many cool people. And even though spiritual, non-spiritual, and you just get to like learn what they're doing and how their spiritual work has helped them, or, help them heal and change and transform. And now they get to help other people do it. So it's just I really started podcasting because I was like, I just want to do that. And I did it, but it really brought some cool people, to my life. So it's pretty awesome. And I'm excited that we get to do this.
Right. So I want to know a little bit about what is the magic you're bringing in.
So what I like to say that I like to help people like deepen their intuitive connection and make it unfuckwithable. So allowing your spiritual gifts, like you don't question them, you don't doubt them, you're not afraid of what you're seeing, you're not scared to tell a client or a friend like, this is what I think spirit's bringing in. Like, nope, this is what's bringing. Let's figure it out, and sometimes it's days, weeks, or months, whatever it is, but it's helping people understand that they haven't been weird their whole life. Their dreams mean something. Spirit is talking to you. Those vibrations and the ear tingles and the skin tingles, the song playing, the angel numbers, they're not random. It's not a coincidence. And being open to accepting and allowing to have spirit help you, to guide you, to help you heal, to help you heal your lineage and your ancestry and your kids and all the things. It just brings amazing things. So I just really like to help people build that unfuckwithable connection to spirit and their intuition and their gifts, because it literally changed my life. So that's why I like to help other people.
So by changing your life, that means you have a story that you had. Maybe you were the weirdo as a kid, or I want to know more about how did you step into this? Okay, I have this connection to spirit. It's going to go with it. I'm not I'm going to be unshaken from what I see, what I hear, what's presented in front of me. And like, I want to know that story.
So like my story, from a very young child, I had anxiety, like paralyzing panic attack anxiety. 2-3 years old is when I remember it really starting, not being able to leave my mom, like babysitters. And I had some just atrocious people in my life, teachers, babysitters, like they just treated me horribly. It was almost like I was singled out as a small child, but it just like really, my anxiety just really was just, my parents didn't have a good relationship, and it just really started to cause a lot of trauma for me personally. I didn't know what to do with it, didn't know how to express it, heal from it, process it. So I stuffed all of my emotions down my entire life. My mom died when I was 16. So let's add that trauma on top of it. So at that point, I became like a super survivalist. Like I just went through every day. I didn't have emotions because it was safer to not have emotions. I was very selective with who I allowed in my life, friends, boyfriends, even though I chose horrible boyfriends. I just wanted attention. You know what I mean? But they all cheated on me. Most cheated on me, didn't treat me well, used me, all of the things. And it was after like I finally broke up with my fiance because I found out he was cheating on me. And I just threw down the gauntlet, because after my mom died, I stopped communicating with God. Like I grew up Catholic, which, spiritual connection and Catholic, being a medium and intuitive, is like a huge no. But I never felt connected to the religion or to the church or to a priest. I was just like, no, it just did not feel good to me, even as a small child. And after my mom died, I was like, fuck you. You took my mom. She was the one person in my life. There's drug addicts, there's pedophiles, there's disgusting people, and you took the one person in my life. So it was a really long time. I just felt he abandoned me. Like, he's supposed to be the number one person there for you. I should hear you. I should feel you. I should know you. And he wasn't. So fast forward, I got married. I kind of threw down the gauntlet. I said at that time, I'm like, look, I'm done. I need somebody I can trust, never have to worry about, somebody that if he goes out with his friends, I don't have to question what he's really doing, who he's really doing. Um, and it was just like that's really weird soul thing that you just do. And you're like, I'm not allowing anymore. And I didn't do anything about it. And I fortunately met my husband. Now we've been married, I don't know, whatever, 2003, almost 20 years. We have 2 kids, and, you know, I never had to question that part, but I still wasn't happy. I was miserable. I hated my life. You know, I was fortunate to have kids. I was fortunate to have okay health, not great. Home, cars, jobs, you know, basic necessities. Not a lot extra, but I was miserable. I called it the mom bot life. Like, I did everything for everybody else. I wasn't happy. There was not a 1 ounce of joy in my life. There was nothing to look forward to. It was the same thing every day. You're up with the kids all night long. You're working all day. You pick them up from daycare. You do their homework. You do all the adult stuff, and there's nothing for you. And I had an accident in 2012. I fell. I broke my ankle and tore my ACL. So it was a really long year, like on crutches, surgeries. And then the next year, my other knee started to hurt. So I couldn't walk. So over the year, so that was 2012. So by 2013, my other knee started to hurt. And I couldn't really walk. I couldn't go through a grocery store without a cart. I couldn't park far away. I couldn't. So my weight just like, I was about 326-ish. When I had gastric sleeve surgery, it was just kind of like, the knee doctor's like, look, we can try this one surgery, but you have to be thinner. He's like, you cannot be on, I had to be non-weight bearing for 2 to 3 months. And I was non-weight bearing before, but I was at 200 some pounds, and it was hard then. So he's like, you need to lose weight or we can't do the surgery. So my husband and I talked. I was like, I'm just going to do this surgery, the gastric sleeve surgery. They just got part of your stomach out, helps you lose weight. But it was at that time when I had that surgery, I was like, I need to do something. I hate my life. I'm unhappy. Yes, I'm fat. It's part of it. I'm depressed. I have chronic pain. That was all part of it, but it wasn't, because it had been a problem for a long time. Like, I never processed the pain from my mom dying. I never understood anxiety, panic, depression. It was just like, you just live with it. You just learn to just roll with it every day. Like, you just learn to hate your life. You learn to be unhappy. You learn to be miserable, and you just learn to survive. Like, I just call it like the robot life. You don't feel anything. You just really go on with your day. So, a couple weeks after my gastric sleeve surgery, I met my spiritual mentor, and I had a session, like a one-on-one. She's like an intuitive medium session. And she's like, I think Reiki would really benefit you with your chronic pain. Because I'd been going on a really long time of a lot of ibuprofen, which really didn't work, and painkillers off and on. And I know I hit that point where I was really concerned because there's addiction in my family. And I prefer natural stuff anyway. So she's like, look, you should try Reiki. So she kind of consulted with spirit, and she'd never done it virtually because we didn't live in the same place. And she's like, yeah, she's like, we can do it, virtually over Zoom. And I started that really for chronic pain to help me. And it was like the light bulb went off as soon as I did Reiki 1, like everything spiritual, intuitive. It was just like, you kind of look over, you're like, oh my God, what the hell is that? Like, and the room's just full of spirits. And I was just like, oh, hell no. Because I'd been afraid of spirits my whole life. Because I was the weird kid, man. Weird dreams, premonitions, a snoring ghost that lived in my house, like scared of the dark, knew things were there, never could really pin it down. But my fear was like astronomical, like painfully scary fear. And everything started to make sense, and it was like, oh my God, that's why I hear things. Oh my God, that's why I know that Betty has migraines. And now I have a migraine after I talked to her. That's how I know Joe's cheating on his wife. Cause like, it was like, I could always know, feel, hear, see, sense in my body, in my mind, in my soul. And I was always a natural counselor because I could get anything out of anybody, not in that like invasive, gossipy way, but that like, oh my God, something's wrong with them and they're not talking about it. Like, and I would just straight out, like, we'll have a conversation. I'll be like, okay, so what's really going on? And they would just be like this shock, and they would always tell me, but it was always a way that I could help them was never anything I repeated. That was like my reputation in high school was like, you could talk to Erin about anything. She never backstabbed you. It's like, no, because that's not like, I was always invested in helping others, but I was also invested in helping others to a point of I didn't have anybody else having my back that I could depend on that was there for me. So it was just easier to help other people and never expect anybody to try to help me in return. So it's kind of part of that, like, I don't want to say, it's such a hard place to be. I think everybody that listens to this, that's an empath, figuring things out, knows and understands what that means, because you're so self-sacrificing because you don't know what you need, and what you need you're not getting. So like, what's the point of hoping or having hope that could happen? So it just, my spiritual journey just unfolded. So I started some mediumship classes. Soon I started learning the Akashic Records, DNA activation, shamanism. Like but it's not like everything, I just did everything and it worked. Like I put a lot of time, energy, money, mindset, healing. I mean, it's a lifelong process, but like I really dedicated myself to the process because I finally was able to start healing. I finally learned that my anxiety, my panic, my depression were not all my anxiety, panic, and depression. It was a lot of other people's shit that I was holding on to. So energy protection and clearing was like life-changing for me. I was like, what is this? Like, I feel free in my mind, and my body doesn't feel like a weighted blanket. It was so weird. You're like, wow, like you don't know what it's like to live without like the heart racing and blacking out and like, oh my God, you're waking up in the middle of the night with the panic and all the stuff. And you're just like, wait, I don't, what happened? Like it's not there. Because I've taken medication. I've been to therapy. I've done all the traditional stuff, and it did not move my needle, for 39 years. So you kind of get to the point where like, fuck it, what's the point? I give up. And I really finally found something for me that shifted my world, allowed me to heal, allowed me to really embrace who I was and put all the pieces together, so that's where I am now.
And I love that you're helping other people that are stuck, that are in that cycle of, okay, I don't know what to do. This doesn't feel right. I don't know why I'm miserable today. And then, as someone who takes on everything, like even going and visiting my functional medicine doctor, she has to schedule me around the therapist is in the office. Because if someone's in the office that is having some sort of a mental breakdown and I go in there, I leave sicker than I come.
Yep, because you're taking it on for sure. Without, I always say it's inadvertently, advertently. Like if, we're just so sensitive that we'll just take on we're energetic dumpsters, until we have that awareness. And it took me a long time to figure out protection for me and clearing for me, because a lot of stuff worked, but it never worked. You know what I mean? And it took me a long time to find what was like rock solid for me, and that's why I always like to tell people too, it's you have to adjust it and shift it. Like if you're working with somebody, it's not fully working. It's okay. You got to adjust it to make it work for you. Because what works for you doesn't work for me, and what works for her doesn't work for him. And, it's totally okay to expand on whatever you're learning and make it work for you, because you shouldn't feel worse off after working with somebody or trying to figure something out than you did before,
Yeah. And I love therapy. Don't get me wrong. I have a great therapist, but sometimes in just that world, like you were talking about, it's not enough. I feel like you get stuck in a cycle of like repeat. This isn't just mine. I brought this with me. The soul brought this with me into this human experience. Like this is I love them dearly, but if you can't go deeper on those other levels and start clearing some of you were saying, you just stay in.
Yep. And I'm not berating anything. Whatever works for people works. Some people might have to have a life coach and a spiritual coach and a therapist. And if you can find somebody that is in conjunction, like, a therapist that's open to other stuff, dude, go for it. You have to do what works for you. Therapy personally didn't work for me. I had one therapist my whole life that worked well right after my mom died. She moved clinics. I couldn't keep seeing her, and I never found another one. And I think it was my intuition kind of telling me, like, they don't fucking care. You're a number to them. You're a bill to them. You're $200 to them. Like, none of them ever was just like fully invested in me. And it's like I must, I always was able to pick up on that even though I didn't know it. So I'm like, nope, I'm out. So it just wasn't something, that just was solid for me, that I could trust, that I could depend on. So yeah, it was just finding what worked and stop saying nothing works, nothing's ever going to work, I'm not going to find anything, I'm just going to be miserable and hate my life until I die, and that's something you have to tell yourself. You either are going to accept that kind of lot in life, or you're going to put your energy, time, and money into figuring it out and allowing weird shit, allowing different experiences, allowing maybe a healer, maybe a shaman, whatever, and be open. Because I cleared lots of stuff from lifetimes, lots of cords, lots of that residual, our history, our ancestral history, all of those things, and they all play a part, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. Like, there's always that heavy part of your soul that, until you kind of dig into it and figure it out, like, just kind of hangs out, and you're just like, I just can't get rid of it, or I can't stop being in this type of relationship. I can't get over my money stuff. I can't get over religion stuff. I can't get over. It's like, dude, that's when it's time to hit the records, because like, that's like the best time to hit it. Because if you're doing the work and doing the healing and you still feel all this resistance, or this, I always say it's like this little piece that's left of you that you just can't quite nail down or figure out, or no matter the work that you do, it's not getting better, like, hit the records. That's probably the best time to hit your past lives, because there's usually some embedded stuff in there, that definitely could hinder you today.
And what do you mean by hit the records? Because I know that I'm familiar with it. So I know a lot of my audience is unfamiliar, and you are the expert. So can you tell us what you mean by hit the records?
So, like, hitting the Akashic Records, your Akashic Records is like your personal history book, past lives. So in my work, it's really developed. I know if I need to do a really deep Akashic Records clearing, or if we just need to look into a past life and figure it out. Spirit's very specific. I've done this long enough. They say that, and that's even me negating, like, I'm part of the Akashic Records. I created it. I was a creator. It's super easy for me. It's always been super easy for me. The people I teach, I definitely see them like having a harder time with it. So I had a hard time even teaching it for a while, because I was like, well, it's so easy. All you could do is do this and go into it. But that is not the case for most other people. So you could read a book, you can do YouTube, whatever it is, going into your Akashic Records and just really understanding your past lives and understanding how many lifetimes did you have of religious persecution? Are you afraid of, like we were talking about, charging for your healing gifts and in your spiritual gifts and your intuitive gifts? There's so much persecution, witch wounds, religious healing wounds from our soul's history, that you feel weird about charging money. Like, I've even had that conversation with God, because it was like, well, I want to be a millionaire, but that's kind of like, I'm supposed to tithe and do all the things. He's like, the more money you have, the more you can give. He's like, there's no longer a need to reserve yourself or hold yourself back. Like, he's like, money is what propels things and allows you to do. So yeah, like, it's okay to have money. It's okay to make money. It's okay to want money, because you're always like, I feel like if I want to be a millionaire, that I'm like, a bad person. My number one thing is to serve and not sell. And yeah, money's a great contingency from selling, but like, my main focus is how, people need to get a shift if working with me, like whether it's just a session or a class. Like, the important thing is that they understand or grasp or shift or change, or they get the clearing that they need, whatever it is. It's okay. We have so many persecution wounds in the past, like, they linger, they hold on. And so if you're in that space where you're like, gosh, I really feel like I want to do tarot, but it's against God. I really want to, like, I had to break away from the Catholic religion to do my spiritual work. And it was hard at first, because you're programmed that you're going to go to hell. If you're talking to spirits, it's the devil. I was waiting to be possessed every 10 seconds. And I was like, dude, I'm done. But now I'm closer to God than I ever was in my Catholic experience. So I work for him. He's always there. He's always there to help me heal. He's always there to answer questions. He's always there to guide. Like, I never falter in you know what I mean? It's that connection. Because the one thing that he told me, I was like, well, why weren't you there with my mom? Like, I needed you the most. This always makes me tear up, because he said, I never left your side. He goes, I was carrying you. He said, you were so hurt and in so much pain. You needed that. And I'm like, it was just like this entire, like, full body, like, recognition of, oh my God, you didn't leave me. You didn't ghost me. You didn't, like, you know, yeah. So it's just really, really cool. Yeah. So the Akashic Records, yeah. So I love going into there, because they hold your history and who you are and the gifts that you've had. So lately they've been really, we've been reactivating gifts in that lifetime. So the past version of you and the new version of you, today's version, are an active partner in that reactivation. So kind of depends on what it is in the lifetime and what the gift is. But sometimes it's even the recognition of hearing and understanding what you did as a healer in that lifetime that allows your soul to just really be like, oh my God, that makes sense. Like, I've had a calling, I feel like doing that, you know, and it's like that validation almost. Is just sometimes you just need that recognition of who you are, what you've done, what you could be doing, how smart you really are, how important you really are. And this in all past lifetimes, whether you've been a horrible, murderous, slaughtering person in the past, or you were, you know, some beautiful mom of 100 kids who were perfect and amazing, like, doesn't matter. Like, there's stuff that you can bring forth from the past, and there's stuff you need to clear from the past, because, you know, if you did something shitty, you're like, oh my God, I need to pay for this forever, you know. So you just drag it along with you every soul's lifetime. And it's, I always kind of like to say, it's kind of like almost like a ball and chain. You're just like, okay, it's gonna keep coming up. It's just gonna stick with me because this is what I deserve. When in the reality is, you don't deserve it. You made a choice, you made a mistake, you made this. It's okay to let it go, you know, and it's okay to clear it, and it's okay to not allow it to come back. It's safe to move forward. It's safe to use those gifts again. It's, you know, and sometimes we get so concerned with punishing ourselves for our mistakes in this and past lifetimes. Like, if you made a bad choice, if you chose the wrong partner, if there was abuse and you stayed too long, if, you know, it was a parent and you keep allowing them to berate you, whatever it is, like, it's okay. It's okay to do the best that you can in the moment, you know, but how are you going to move forward? How can you be in your power? How can you recognize how amazing you really are? Like, that's my favorite part about being an intuitive. I can see people's potential and what they bring to the world, because most of the time we don't feel that about ourselves. We don't exude that. We don't present that. So just helping people even recognize that, who they really are, and their power, and how much they matter, and their uniqueness, and what they bring to the world is just like so important. And sometimes you need somebody to tell you that, you know, that for you to allow or to accept, or to even like consider that you're a badass, that you're a spiritual badass, that you're amazing, that you're an intuitive, all the things, you know. And I think I posted yesterday, like, I love you, you're doing an awesome job. And I don't know how many people just posted that. Like, it was like people just need to hear how they matter, you know what I mean? So yeah, that was a big long spiel, but yeah.
I love that. It's back to like finding yourself and that you matter. So when you were doing, because I'm sure you went through your own records, what was the biggest, like, either aha or clearing? Like, what was that? There had to be something, like, if you're willing to share, that real juice was like, oh, this is it. This is where I need to start shifting or clearing, or, oh, this
Yeah.
is the gift I need to bring back.
So for me, for sure, I have a lot of lifetimes of religious persecution. So back in the day, we would work as a healer, as a religious person, as whatever, a God's disciple, whatever. We would travel, we would stay with people, we would heal them, whatever. And we didn't need money. We didn't need a home. We didn't need things, you know. So that, and I've had an exorbitant amount of lifetimes like that, self-sacrifice, where, you know, that was a really hard one for me, because it was like, why do I have such a hard time with money? What, you know, why do I, you know? And so that was a really big one for me, was the kind of understanding that, and that persecution part, and allowing, like, accepting money and accepting things to come to me easily. And that's still something that I work on. It's like, oh, there's still days where you're just like, oh my God, I'm just busting my ass and I'm tired. And, but it's like, but I always like to say the previous Erin versus the new Erin, I'm way better than I was, and healing is a lifelong process. So give yourself a break, give yourself some grace, and but definitely clearing some of that religious kind of trauma and persecution, and being a healer, being, what we would equate today as like Reiki, or somebody who uses essential oils, or creates almost like a functional nutritionist or doctor, like we talked about, creating anything you're creating for medicine or to heal or to help people, or spells as a witch, those types of things. It takes a lot out of you, because when most of the time in the past you had to hide it. If you are a woman, as of today, still, like, you're still not revered or looked after or recognized, so a lot of hiding, a lot of pretending, a lot of, like, really not acknowledging how amazing and powerful you really are, because you could be persecuted for it. So, like, there's just a lot to that aspect of it. So that was a really big one for me. And yeah, that was one of the huger ones. And one of the weird ones is I did a session for somebody else, and like my room filled up with, I was just like, oh my God, this is it. This is how I'm gonna die. And it was just this giant angel with like black wings and black clothes. And he's like a galactic angel. So he's like a bridge for the galactic and kind of the angel realm. So he's now my bouncer. He's my protector. He's, every time I do a clearing, a soul clearing, whether it's a negative entity, whatever it is, like, he's my bouncer. He goes and clears and does. And like, he was definitely one of the surprises. There's lots of weird stuff that comes up and comes in him though. But definitely for that client, they were like, everything makes sense except that one thing. I'm like, spirit told me, that one's gonna take them a while to like accept. I'm like, yeah, I get it.
I think it's so awesome. It's awesome when and you start looking at the things that you're seeing, and like you said, dreams have become so much more vivid for me now that I'm like, okay, I am coming out of hiding. Been doing energy work since I was 3 years old. We know my past lives that I've thrown off of cliffs, and all these are all things that I've seen. I don't know if I've gone through my records, but I've seen myself in past lives. I have no idea if that's anywhere close to what you do. I still don't fully understand, so I need to come into your space more. I think that it's awesome that you're able to see them and empower yourself to move forward with that knowledge. It's like permission to be yourself.
Yeah, and it's like, we all need to really, I like to say, we just need to brag more. Even for myself, I still hold back on that like bragging thing, because it's just like, oh, it feels weird. But if we don't like stand in our own power, understand how powerful we are, how good we are, like, it's going to be harder for our clients or people who need us or whatever it is to really, understand what you do and how you do it. And I've had my business for quite a few years, and I'm just finally to that point of like, I'm tired of holding myself back. There's no reason, like, and even in life, it's like, why are you holding back? If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it's somebody doesn't like it, then they don't like it. Like, it's it's not the end of the world to show up and be bold and be yourself, because there is no other you. While me and you do energy work and healing and spiritual stuff and intuitive stuff, like, we don't do it the same, but we could learn from each other. We could help each other. We could, it's not a competition. There's, what was it? Somebody told me once, there's 7 billion people in the world. You just need a few hundred to be your client. So like, why would we need to be in competition over it? Or, because even somebody else talking to today that I've been working with, she's like, I just needed your energy. Like, I just, I needed you. And I get it. I'm 100% not for everybody. I swear a lot. I'm pretty bold. I don't hold back. I don't pussyfoot around a situation, or if somebody's telling themselves horrible things, or, doing the same shit and hoping for different results. Like, I'm not there to like really coddle them. I'm there to like help them and help them make bold moves and shift forward. And, if you want to pay me to tell you like, yeah, this is going to happen, when it's not, like, dude, stop, just stop. Like take life by the balls and stop like waiting for it to happen or that person, or like, dude, pull the trigger out. Like, why would you want to wait around for somebody who isn't fully invested in you right now? Like, stop. It doesn't matter if it's a friend, a relationship, a boyfriend, a girlfriend, whatever it is. Like, dude, stop. Like, you deserve better. Say no, and it's, yeah.
It's so powerful. Because you brought it up, what is your biggest brag right now?
Oh my God, I feel like I'm on a streak of Akashic sessions. It's pretty awesome. Like, I just randomly posted in a group one day in Facebook that somebody needed an energy clearing. So she referred me to a whole bunch of people. And then somebody that I'd never heard of booked an Akashic session, which is awesome. That means obviously social media stuff is working, Sometimes people will pull through from my group or people that I know, but now I've probably had like 10 or 11 in the last like couple of weeks, which, I was like, holy shit, okay, that's pretty awesome. So, it's just like, okay, that's what people need right now. So, but really it's just to me, it's all of my spiritual work and all of the stuff that I do, learning everything and just really letting spirit guide me in how to use it. Because when I learned Reiki, I felt all this pressure to open a Reiki shop or to rent a space in town and on my Saturdays do that. And I was like, oh, I don't want to. Like, I'm a Reiki master teacher. I've never taught. I'm just starting to teach, but I just really started to learn to like allow myself to integrate how I need to integrate it. Like DNA activations and shamanism and all of those things I feel like I need to put together, but I'm not pressuring it anymore. Like I used to pressure it a lot. Like, okay, I need to be doing this and booking and doing all these things. And now it's like, I really need it to evolve how it needs to be and that it's more fun for me and exciting. And I mean, I've done the Akashic Records for a lot of years and I'm finally just teaching other people how to do it. Cause it was like, I just didn't feel like ready, or I don't really know the right word, but it was just like, just had that drag on my soul. But now it's like, yeah, it's time. So it's like, just really learning to roll with it. I love all my gifts. I love my intuition and I love not having anxiety and panic attacks. I love knowing that when my anxiety and panic kicks up, that it's somebody else. That I know. I love knowing that, like, okay, I'm going to clear that because that is not like what I've been telling clients lately is their shit is not your shit. Their shit is not your shit. Yes. Like, clear it, be done with it. It's not yours. So, yeah.
So if someone needs help with clearing and all of the stuff, leaning in gifts, understanding their, intuitive gifts and their spiritual gifts and really are resonating with this, where can people find you?
Yes. So my website is vintagemoons.com. I like old stuff and I like the moon. So that is my website. So you can book sessions on there or, if you need to ask a question, but Instagram is Erin, ERIN, Vintage Moons. And Facebook is also Vintage Moons. So I do have a page in a private group where you can ask questions in there. Sometimes on your spiritual journey, you're just like, dude, I do not want grandma and my mom and my whoever to see these weird ass questions that I'm asking about things I'm seeing or coming in dreams or experiencing. So it is a private group. So, you can ask questions or whatnot, but you can always DM me, just ask questions. I always have sessions available and then programs, classes, so if you ever have questions about them, just ask. Like I try to post some stories about what I'm doing and what's happening. That's a little bit more of me just putting myself out there instead of posting and hoping. I'm just being a lot more direct on what I offer and who it's probably good for and who it might not be good for. And if my energy is somebody that calls to you, then you can DM me, and I always suggest that, like, even having a session with somebody before you do like a big program or something really expensive with somebody, because you're like, I really love them on Instagram, but then you get into their group and you're like, fuck, this is the worst. Like, I just totally wasted my money. Whether it's me or anybody else, like, have a session with them. See what do you get from it? How do you feel? Did you feel any shift? Did you get some good information? Like, and really rely on how you feel in your gut and your soul. And does your spirit and intuition be like, dude, this is not the person for you. Like, they're blowing smoke, or, yep, this is who you need to work with, so, and I've even had spirit tell me this is who I need to work with, and I've worked with them and it didn't go well. So it's that whole process of just leaning into spirit and allowing, and knowing that you had to learn something from it, even if it's expensive or painful, and just allowing that process, you know.
Oh yeah, I've listened many times, too many times, like $150,000 less. Well, if you add in the master's degree, then no, we're up at like 250, 300.
Oh yeah, if you want to throw those in there.
I'm like, you want to throw those in there, you know.
I still got like 7 more years on those degrees. Like, give me a break, man. Shit, if we're gonna go there. Like, how many years of my life and how many? Well, I think the last time I looked, it was like 70,000 with interest. It's like, Jesus Christ, that's almost a house. You know, you're like, it was ridiculous, and it never really changed my income or my ability. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you're just like, meh, whatever. Just another lesson. That's one thing nobody can take away from you. I mean, right. I kind of prayed that they like wipe out student loans. I'd be super happy with that. Totally fine with it. But
I understand that totally, completely. 100%.
Like, I'll be in my 50s before mine are paid off.
Or not. You never know. You never know what spirit's going to bring. Maybe, you know, something will come and they will, you know, you'll just be like, oh, here it is, paid in full. Goodbye.
I'm hoping for that.
Bless and release. Bless and release.
Yep. 100%.
So if someone were to walk away with just one little thing, that thing that they took to heart, that they would remember forever, what would you want them to walk away with?
Really? Just go within. Like, what do you feel? Your intuition is your first thought and your ego is your second. So how do you feel about that experience? You know, is it something you want to try? Who else is holding you back? Like, really go within yourself. Like, don't seek outside validation. Doesn't matter, spouse, partner, friend. Like, really start to learn to trust yourself. Trust what you're getting. Trust what you're telling yourself. Trust what's coming to you, because the more that we can allow ourselves to be open and allow spirit to just drop shit in our lap without any expectations or control or all of that mind fuckery that we do, like, your world just expands. Like, so learning to trust yourself, you're going to be like, yep, it's time for me to do that. Yep, it's time for me to do this. Nope, I'm not going to take that bullshit. These are my boundaries. I'm not going to keep saying yes to volunteering and doing shit that I hate. Like, you just take this, that's part of your getting your powers. Like you have it all in you. Like, you just have to like trust and have faith that, you know, what you need is going to come out when you need it, and how you need to learn it and when you need to learn it and where you need to learn it is there. But like, trust yourself. Like, don't hit up your friend the first second something happens. Be like, go within. This is what I'm getting. How, you know, are you getting anything on this? This is what I got for myself. Like, so you're going externally to validate what you've already gotten instead of going to them to tell you what you should be doing. You know what I mean? Like that. It's that inner knowing and that inner trust. Like, roll with it. If you get it, okay, I don't need to know how, what, when, where, or why, but all right, this is what it's going to be, you know? So just really that like inner self